Hi again. How's it going? Happy Wednesday. Wow, day before Thanksgiving. All right. So, thanks for checking out my video from yesterday, which was the reading of, what's the chapter called? Sorry. The draft chapter, which was called "Is God the Ultimate Creative Computer?" Question mark. No, but almost. I really appreciate the feedback on that. It really helps. It helps me to see where I might need to clarify a few things. So I did add a couple little bits just now to try to make sure that there was no confusion about what I was trying to communicate, or as little as possible. So, in fact, the paragraph I just added at the end after some of the comments is, yes, God is like a supercomputer, italicized, because the universe is so ordered. But God is much more. The Creator is also an incredibly emotional, infinitely talented artist with endless creativity. God is both things in one. The sensitivity of God is what's superior to a cold computer when I was describing Google Brain. So, yeah, let's keep going. The next chapter is called God Before the Universe. God Before the Universe. And there is another one after that that is longer. I'm not sure if I'll read them both together. We'll see how long this one takes first. So here we go. Ready? Okay. Pardon me, as always. Contemplating the nature of God is risky and mentally tiring for many reasons. People have very personal ideas about God if they believe in such a being at all. Understandably, they don't like to be told how they should conceive of a creator, so I'm not going to do that. Some people think of God as a separate being from the universe, and others think of reality as nestled within God himself, herself, itself, while others believe that all intelligent beings of the universe, including humans, collectively constitute the totality of God. There are plenty more belief systems, too. Any one of these or others could be true. The next few chapters contain further thoughts about the potential nature of God if one exists, as I strongly believe. They are just possibilities and not meant to be definitive. I'm not convinced any human being could fully define God, and one should be wary of those who insist on absolutes, because labeling and codification are what lead to religions, but not necessarily spirituality, which is more free and wild. As discussed, we don't know how this universe began, but we do know that it had a starting point. The Big Bang and rapid expansion of all the compacted matter contained within the singularity pushed through the vast nothingness to establish three-dimensional physical space, plus the fourth dimension of time. We don't know if any of these dimensions exist outside of this universe or if they can be found at presumed higher dimensional planes like heaven. We also don't know if reality includes all available dimensional planes and whether that number is infinite like pi. Can God be found at the top of that impossible pyramid? We also don't know why humans experience time as perpetual forward motion instead of being able to travel freely through it, or even to stop time and go backwards. But time is an important agent of perpetual change and evolution. As discussed, in higher dimensions, it might be more fluid. If time is nonlinear on the other side, and all action and knowledge occurs faster than the speed of light, that implies an experience that is highly quantum and completely different from anything we know. Humans usually proceed from some core idea of self, but which changes incrementally in each moment of experience. The universe does not allow anyone to remain still and unchanged. A life without change would eventually become a nightmare anyway. Imagine it as not unlike hearing your favorite song on repeat for all of eternity. The first few times through, you might be thrilled, but by sheer repetition, plus your cumulative, intimate knowledge of every nuance without any possibility for surprise, time after endless time, you'd eventually go nuts and might even beg to die. Therefore, perpetual change is both logical and necessary, though it can cause us discomfort and worry sometimes. Since time may be unique to our reality, the more interesting, though grammatically incorrect question is, why is time? Why is time? In one of his free online videos, spiritual teacher Eckhart Tolle observed an intriguing difference between animals and human beings, which may give us added insight. Animals, unlike people, do not have a relationship with themselves. Animals don't ponder their own nature or even know what they inherently are. Therefore, they do not suffer the pain of duality, of being both the subject and observer of oneself, who tries to make sense of oneself as we do. Animals don't know they were born and that they will die. They just are. People are far more complicated, for better and worse. Okay, sorry. Advancing here. Now consider whether it's possible that God too was once not unlike an innocent puppy, entirely unconscious and unaware of his, her, its own existence before creating the universe. There's a question mark there, but there shouldn't be. As pure white light, the all-powerful, eternal, all that there is, existed in perfect stillness and silence, as it peacefully pondered precisely nothing, a state of being without thought, action, or time. Then somehow, someway, God awoke, as if from eternal slumber, with groggy eyes. For reasons unknown, perhaps even by sheer accident, God suddenly became self-aware. And is it possible that time itself began at this very moment when the infinite creator first contemplated itself? In other words, was time invented of necessity because God suddenly awoke? The Big Bang, there it goes again. The Big Bang might represent God's sudden awareness of self. It was like an explosion of consciousness, faster than the speed of light in every direction, like an infinite armada of nuclear bombs going off, roaring through hundreds of thousands of light years all at once. Perhaps initially, God was stunned to discover its own multiples. Try again. Perhaps initially, God was stunned to discover its own multitudes, and the look inward began, just as the physical expansion of the universe continued outward. Unfathomably hot, white, opaque plasma burning at millions upon millions of degrees, 10 to the 32nd power Kelvin, which took hundreds of thousands of years of slow cooling to reach even mild visibility after the orgasm of awareness. This speaks to another ancient question, whether awareness, i.e. knowledge, is a blessing or a burden. Naturally, the answer is it's both. I have to put it's in there because it's not in there. There's a cost to everything we learn and know, and for all that we don't. Knowledge and its opposite, ignorance, each come with benefits and detriments, though I would argue that knowledge is superior when it comes to matters of survival. And perhaps if God had remained forever static, ever unchanging, then nothing else would have ever come into existence. What else would have been needed? In God's original form, nothing was lacking and nothing was wrong. The concept of lack didn't even exist. God was perfect totality. Yet nothing occurs in such a state. Nothing happens. When God wondered, "What am I?" it was the first thought by any intelligent being of any kind, anywhere. And continued self-reflection irrevocably altered the nature of the immortal intelligence. It now pondered itself, simultaneously creating a relationship with itself, as Tolle described. God had acquired its first complication. God awakened is both the subject and object of its existence, which may be the origin of duality. Still with me? Okay. Messy human existence in four-dimensional reality is based entirely upon such natural opposites and all shades in between: light and dark, good and evil, love and hate, subject and object, life and death, good and evil, within each individual. These forces motivate nearly all human activity. And if we're each a fragment of the divine, then some aspect of us may also crave a return to the peaceful, uncomplicated original unity from which God, which may be we ourselves, the collective, was presumably split by accident or design. It's more melting ice outside if you heard that. Ironically, though, if such a reunification was possible, total perfection and relief from worry would be a return to pure being without thought or action, as noted. In a sense, our lives here in four-dimensional reality require problems in order to make things interesting and provide purpose, even though sometimes these same problems can feel overwhelming and in the worst case scenarios actually do overtake us should we break down. This is also why humans, with very few exceptions, are such a mix of light and shade. We think we know what we believe and that we will always act in the best interests of ourselves and others, yet some of our actions are at odds with our belief systems, and we don't understand why we sometimes feel pulled in opposite directions. That the light that animates us is very, very bright and pure, the literal essence of God, I believe. It is unambiguous love, elegant, magnificent, simple, and eternal. Animals possess it too, which is why it's so universally understood among beings with high and low degrees of awareness, even down to plant life and seemingly inanimate things like water, earth, stones, and air. Love is felt by all of creation. It's a unifying principle. Just ask Jesus. When the universe was created to give life to all that was, is, and would be, God must necessarily be the light of all stars, which make all other life possible, such that the essence of God was scattered, spread, and diluted among the vast voids of blackness where nothing had ever been before, because nothing else had ever been. And then there's a little dash, 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 indicating a sort of a break in thought within the chapter. Let's see, how much more do we have to go? Okay, we're good. Not too much. Where'd it go? Okay. If life is in fact God's dream, as some have speculated, then we're all small but important parts. The universe is far more elegant than it is random. When we serve the greater good, as God does by continuing to facilitate reality, then the system/dream, which are one and the same, is presumably in our favor and rewards us with synchronicities, meaningful coincidences, which are more than coincidences, and signs that we're on the right track, supported by spirit. Perhaps we return home, with a capital H, each night during sleep. Near the end of life, we see that dream, capitalized, and home, capitalized, are as real as earth, and probably more so. So one more time there. Perhaps we return home each night when we dream home. Near the end of life, we see that dream and home are as real as earth, and probably more so. The veil between realms thins when we near a mortal end. Then we die and merge back into the collective. This is beautiful, though I still fear a loss of individual identity within the collective. Yeah, I'll just add that. It's a minor thing. Okay. All right. And as a kind of supercomputer magician, God saves everything. Your intellect, i.e., your soul, must survive death because it's a part of God. No soul dies and no energy is wasted. Every soul returns to source and exists in the dreamlike state, which may represent both God's intellect and its hard drive in computer parlance. When we're back in heaven, perhaps we have the opportunity to collaborate more directly with God and Spirit too. Maybe some bits of the program, like the souls who tried their best to embody good in this realm, become more influential over time, in which case reincarnation too is simply a logical application of learning towards an improved and perhaps more satisfying version of existence the next incarnation around. Okay, and then there's a little dash indicating, excuse me, again, a break in thought, and then this last section, which is about a page, so not too much more to go. Roll up my sleeves. Roll up my sleeves for the end here. Okay, actually, I'm going to take a little tea. I love tea. I love tea with a little vanilla in it. A little bit of extract of vanilla. Green tea, or that, what is it called? Rooibos. African vanilla tea. Okay. All right, so here we go. Last section of this chapter. Imagining God as initially existing in an unconscious state and evolving to a hyperconscious state, I began to wonder if God too had originally been purposeless, like Google Brain, remember from the last chapter. Why do we assume that God has always been the essence of love from inception? I know that's a bit controversial. Yeah, maybe I'll even say that. I know that may be, a controversial thought. As discussed earlier, God made everything in the universe vibrational and therefore musical, like an infinite series of piano strings from subsonic low frequencies to impossible to conceive highs. In creating other beings, God made energies interdependent and intertwined, such that being good to others and to animals, insects, and or nature raises both the receiver and the giver's vibration, and the love given out is a feedback loop which comes back to us. So these relationships can help us to lift ourselves when initiated from selflessness in imitation of God. Running the universe may keep God occupied and provide added purpose. When you know and see all as a God presumably would, and you exist forever, perhaps a purpose needs to be invented. Maybe the creation of other intelligent life evoked a sense of responsibility, such that an entire support system of angels, spirit guides, and other supernatural beings were also conceived and conjured to help management. This is both a logical and emotional decision, again, in keeping with the apparent dual mathematical and magical nature of the Creator. Having considered all of the reasons for running reality, God found none better than love. When you are everything and you already have everything, the only thing left which can give pleasure is to share it and give it away. So God did. It's very likely that the long-term evolution of all beings who live forever, meaning both God and immortal souls like us, is towards greater selflessness because nearly everything that's good flows from it. When we reach out to connect with others, we lift them energetically. All that we do to help make others more comfortable, joyful, and alive within themselves when they bask in the glow of our high vibration will come back as a form of love, reinforcing our own joy. The more we give, the more we receive. Existence appears to be a long-term, multi-lifetime learning experience towards greater selflessness, and generosity until, way down the road, when we reach the very end, if there is one, we merge back with Source forever to improve God's understanding of its creations. Which is true which, if true, is also a way for God to better know itself as the one who is all, thus enhancing its perfection. Love works better because it helps get things done. It brings unity, order, and satisfaction. Hate seeds division and chaos and cannot create, only destroy. Love is the only foundation upon which anything substantive can ever be built. Both love and hate are required in the dualistic universe, but love is the better choice, and people learn this in time, whether that's one lifetime or thousands. And it's also why justice always wins over the long arc. A universe that is divided would ultimately cease to function, so that isn't allowed. Its continued existence is ensured by the Creator. It can be stretched, but it cannot be broken or divided. All right, almost there. My notion of God as an evolving being and not static may be partly supported by something YouTube psychic Cindy at Soulprint Intuitive said in one of her May 2020 videos. Cindy claimed via her spirit guides that God did indeed make all that is, but then at some point God made more of all that is too! Exclamation point. I would do this if I was God. Wouldn't you? Why presume that God stopped creating things after God made us? The universe itself is still expanding, creating more of itself, where before there was literally nothing. How little do we know about what else there is, or could be part of the Creator's explorations? Okay, 21 minutes. That's good. That's where that chapter ends. So, I would love your thoughts on this again, as many thoughts as you got. It's very helpful. It really, especially with these ones, which are kind of, like I said, they're dense. They're not for everybody, but I hope you find them interesting. And then there's one more long chapter about God. Let's see. Yeah, I could probably read that in one. And then a short one right after it. So that'll probably be the next video, and then that'll wrap up these draft video chapters. So thanks again for watching. Comments encouraged. Likes encouraged, shares if you care to, and thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next time. Have a great Thanksgiving weekend. Yeah, I may have to. When am I going to put the next one up? Well, maybe tomorrow or Friday. Okay, thank you. Bye.